In the mid-'70s, the Caps were a new team in the league.
This city lived and breathed and died by the Redskins.
Before the Capitals came to Washington, the only thing the South knew about ice was you put bourbon on it.
The NHL expanding to Washington was part of the early part of sort of expanding the footprint of the league. We're now truly a national footprint.
The old NHL, when you got a franchise, the other teams didn't help you. They threw you an anchor and said, good luck, maybe in 5 years you'll be okay.
Well, you look back, guys that had come in, they were usually cast-offs from other teams.
The Capitals were getting the 18th best player on the team, so it was designed to be a poor team. We came into the league with the Kansas City Scouts.
Kansas City went to Denver, became the Colorado Rockies, became the New Jersey Devils.
It's unbelievable to think that we survived.
We were the Washington Capitals, but we played over in Landover, Maryland.
The Bullets are gonna win!
The basketball team was in the same building and owned by the same people, and they were winners. They were world champions at that time.
The Capitol Center was a brand new building. It was innovative.
Most people didn't think we were going to make it. I'd walk around, I'd talk to them and say, we're going to make the December 2nd day, we're going to make it. And they say, that nut's crazy. He thinks we're going to open December 2nd. I couldn't believe that we actually made the deadline.
The Capitol Center was the first building in the whole country with the big telescreen.
The biggest thing I remember was the scoreboard. It was way ahead of its time. No other teams in the NHL had a scoreboard like that.
Montreal was in town. I'm looking at their bench. They're all going. They're watching the game on the TV.
It was the very first preseason game. We happened to have a photographer there who captured a rather interesting picture of me with the 1974 Flow. So I can honestly say I was very, very there at the beginning of all of this.
Shot through the crease into the left corner.
At the beginning, those were difficult times on the ice.
Oh yeah, we were a really bad team.
They didn't win a lot of games in the very beginning.
Playing on an expansion team, yes, it's not the best of that world at that time.
For the goaltenders, I think it was a nightmare for them.
There were just so many gaps. There was, 2-on-0 breakaways, 3-on-0 breakaways.
Caps are playing spirited.
We chose the Caps as our team that we'd follow. Kind of a silly decision since they were such a bad team in those days.
At the end of the second period, the announcer would invite everyone to come as far down into the lower bowl as they cared to.
We did have sellouts, okay? But half or more of the building was Philly fans that couldn't get tickets up in Philadelphia.
Our fan base, lesser by numbers maybe, but we're very, very committed.
Our crowds, they weren't big, but they were loud. Some nights they were sparse, but we played for them.
Stewart races to center for the Capitals. Blasts another shot. It's in the net from center ice.
Let me tell you, it's not the easiest thing to come into a game and say, okay, well, how many goals are we going to have to score?
Hey, we got to keep playing. We got to keep pushing. We got to keep doing it.
The first 6, 7, 8 years, there wasn't a whole lot of winning that was going on. But the team and the fan base persisted. They persevered. They fought through it.
Every game, every morning, you wake up and you're charged to go.
We would have liked to have been part of a championship team, but here we are. We were all in the same boat, and we're going to try to make the best of it.
You're going into these games in your life as a champion. Otherwise, you can't stay in the league for very long.
We still loved it. We went to lots of games. I loved it. It brings a smile to my face, even though we never made the playoffs.
I still have dreams about, I'm in the old Cap Center. For me, it was the first place I ever, watched the Caps, so I always had a soft spot for it. It was a fun building.
Sure, you can talk about the team that won the Stanley Cup. That's an easy thing to talk about. But for those who started through the hard times, put people in the building, lead them into continuing on and becoming a successful organization that they have become, to have been part of that, it's very special.
In all, We've done a great job to bring hockey to Washington.
There's never been the word quit. It was, you are a Washington Capital, and we're going to make it mean something.
They were some of the best years of my life. I know they weren't the greatest for the franchise at the time, but they were for me.